I want to call shit out. That survived today's video. That survived. You know, okay, so where does one even start? Where does one even start? So on this channel, I talk about a variety of games, right? Mostly Sonic the Hedgehog, a lot of SpongeBob stuff, but I'll occasionally dip my toes into some other things. And one of those things that I like to dip my toes into is Mario RPGs. So not Mario in general, but Mario RPGs. I think Mario RPGs are about the closest thing that Mario has to something that Sonic the Hedgehog would do, giving us like a more in-depth, adventurous storyline with lots of character development, unique locations and environments, just like world building, I guess you could say. Because I mean, world building is a part of like any game, obviously, but it's such an integral part to an RPG game in particular, and Mario RPGs are no exception. Now, I wouldn't call myself an outright RPG guy. I'm definitely more so someone that's in the middle. Like, I like the more convenient slash, I don't know, digestible side of like a 3D platformer, but I also like when there's a little more lore, when there's a little more to explore. I just don't like when there's too much of it, when it gets to be to a level that's like overwhelming. And that's why games like Paper Mario, for instance, really scratch that itch for me, or like most Sonic the Hedgehog games, because these are games that do incorporate a little lore, a little bit history, a little bit of pizzazz, but it doesn't like drown your mind in it. Like, you're not overwhelmed or choking from how much information is being dished out at you in any given moment. And so that's what Mario RPGs are to me, and that's why I really enjoy Paper Mario especially. And so when Mario Luigi Brothership got announced, I was very, very interested, obviously. Like, I'd always wanted to get into the Mario Luigi games. I've heard really good things about them. I don't know. At this point in my life, when we have like the Nintendo Switch, I don't really enjoy playing games on like a Game Boy Advance, like a DS, if I'm being real with you. Like, why would I want to play games on those systems when I had a Nintendo Switch, which is basically a console on the go? Like, it just doesn't feel as good to me, I guess, which is sort of a consequence of the Switch coming out. Because before the Switch came out, I mean, yes, I would play a 3DS game because that was the most optimized handheld experience that we had. But now that we have the Switch, I know that it can be so much more now, and I don't know. I don't love playing my 3DS anymore, which is a little bit of a shame because lots of great games on that console, obviously, and I know a lot of my friends love 3DS too. Street Pass in particular is a pretty popular thing amongst my friend group, so you know, it is what it is. So anyway, long story short, I like Mario RPGs. So I went into Brothership with pretty much little to no expectations, because the only Mario Luigi game I personally played was Superstar Saga / Bowser's Inside Story on a 3DS, and I was playing it, I was getting into it, I liked it, I haven't finished it yet. Like, again, I just don't love playing on my 3DS anymore, so it's just not something that I'm like jumping at the chance to do. So I was gonna try to play all the Mario Luigi games beforehand, but it just didn't work out like that. So I got into Brothership, I started playing it, and it was pretty much everything I expected. It was a solid experience and I was enjoying myself. I was like, okay, another nice solid Mario RPG to add into the library. I mean, it was no 1,000-year door to me, but that's like an extremely high bar that's set for me at this point, and it's gonna be very difficult for any Mario RPG coming out afterwards to even live up to that title. So I was totally fine with that. I was totally fine with this not being like a 10 out of 10 game. I was inching more closely to like an 8 out of 10 game, in all honesty. So I was like, okay, Brothership is pretty solid. Like, I enjoy it. But then I started going online. I started coming out of my cave. I started to dock the ship at the beach for a little bit and come out for some air, and I regret it. I regret it because I got online and I started seeing a lot of discourse that unfortunately I find to be very familiar territory, because this discourse that's been surrounding this game is a lot of the same discourse that surrounded Paper Mario. It's a lot of the same discourse that surrounds the Sonic the Hedgehog series. It's very well-treaded territory for me, but just because it's well-treaded territory doesn't mean I enjoy it, and I certainly do not enjoy this because I just want to enjoy games, man. I just want to have a good time. I just want to have my own experience and speak from that specifically. But there's been so much discourse over this game in particular that I'm not gonna lie, it's been clouding my judgment of this game. And as I've watched people make videos talking about this game and talking about the critical reception, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna call it out. I see this influencing other people's perspectives as well. And I have a direct example example of this impacting me in particular, because I have, I guess you could call him a friend, but I call him more of a parasite. His name is Demich, and Demich is my Mario fan friend. Like, he's the one I go to find out, like, okay, what's the general consensus on what Mario fans are thinking, and what's the general consensus of a Mario game in context of the fan base. Because I consider myself a Mario fan, but I don't consider myself a die-hard fan. You know, if a Mario game isn't going to grab me, then I'm not going to care about it. But I care about almost every single Sonic game that comes out. I care about almost every single SpongeBob game that comes out. You know, it's different. You know, it's not like it's sort of like I have a free membership to Mario, but I have a paid membership to Sonic and SpongeBob. That's what I'm talking about here. Mario to me is something that I'll enjoy if it interests me, but I don't need to play every single Mario game. I don't need to be briefed on every single detail Mario lore. I just enjoy the games whenever I feel like it. And the RPG games are definitely one of those games I like to indulge myself in. So I've been playing Brothership, and Demich and I naturally are talking about it because we're both playing a Mario game for the first time at the same time, which doesn't really happen that often because I don't typically buy most Mario games at the very beginning. I usually wait a little bit and then I get into it. But Brothership is one of those games that I was like, okay, I need to play this ASAP. I just have to play it. And as I was playing it, you know, I was telling Demich, oh, you know, I mean, some of the dialogue's okay, but it's still pretty good. And I enjoy the gameplay and the battle system's really cool. You know, I'm getting like a nice flow into it. And Demich, he could not help himself. He was like, oh, this is such a slow start. It's such a disappointing game. You know, I can't believe they made such a bland and mediocre product. Like, why should you settle for mediocrity? And I can't lie. I guess I'm just an easily influenced person. I start second guessing my own experience with this game. I start second guessing, like, am I actually enjoying Mario and Luigi Brothership? Is it as good as the previous games I played beforehand? I was not entirely sure if my experience of the game was actually all that good. So I would talk to Demich and then I would say, okay, maybe the game is more of a 7 out of 10 because yeah, it can be a little repetitive. Yeah, it does hold your hand a lot. And yeah, the performance issues aren't the best. And I am noticing like some of the frame rate drops in particular. It's not great. So I keep talking to Demich and I keep getting my opinion sort of like swayed a little bit in that direction. But then I go back and I play Brothership and then I realize like, hey, wait a minute, I'm having fun. This game is fun. You know, it's not like everything Demich was saying is not true, but it certainly isn't enough to like impede my own personal experience of this game. You know what I mean? Because it's like games are not perfect. You know, every single game has its own detriments, its own like disadvantages, its own like areas that could be improved. And Mario and Luigi Brothership is certainly no exception to that. But that being said though, I'm still having a really good time. I mean, I don't think the story is the best story in Mario RPG, but it's still interesting and there's a lot of fun characters in this game that I really do enjoy getting to know and talking to. I genuinely enjoy going to the more like populated areas in this game and talking to the characters that are in the area. I genuinely enjoy that, just kind of getting to digest the world. I also enjoy going to battles. I enjoy the mechanics of Mario and Luigi in the overworld. I enjoy the ship even, you know? There's a lot of things that, sure, I don't think it's great. Like, I think the ship sails too slow, for instance. They do give you an option to do fast sailing in the end. So again, I think something about this game that I'm starting to realize is that there's a lot of good qualities of this game, but the issue is it's not there from the very beginning, or it doesn't get to you enough. Like, I just got to this part where I started incorporating the use of plugs, and I love the system. It's like a more like fresh take on the badge system of Paper Mario, but it took far too long to get to that point in the game. Like, I think I'm 10 hours into this game at this point, and I'm finally starting to use plugs. And I'm like, there's so many fun mechanics, so many fun things about this game, but it's taking too long to get to it. So people, critics in particular, that have to rush through this game and play as much of it as they can, they're not going to enjoy the fact that they have to wait 10 hours to get to like some good parts of the game. And so that's sort of what I'm starting to see over here, is that the game does have a bit of a slow start, and people that are quick to put their opinions out there as soon as possible are not necessarily putting out the most positive opinions out there. But as you keep playing the game, it gets better, and you know, my genuine experience of the game is that it's getting better as I keep playing it. And so I'm just like, I'm done listening to other people talk about this game. I'm done. I just want to enjoy this game for what it is. And this is the reality of being a YouTuber that makes content about games that he actually enjoys playing. The fact is, I have to be online. I have to be a chronically online person to make videos. I have to be a chronically online person to assess and analyze things. I have to be exposed to other people's opinions about my products that I'm interested in. And the unfortunate reality is I could be influenced by that. I could be influenced by everything that people are saying, especially Demeach in particular, and I'm not proud of that. So I told him to shut up. Stop talking about this game with me. Let me enjoy my game in peace. And he's followed that like maybe 90% of the time. So here's what I want to say about this. I started off this video saying that I don't get what's going on with Brothership. Like, I really don't get the criticism behind it, but I almost think I figured out my answer throughout the duration of recording this video. So that's funny. Sometimes you just have to sit down and talk ad nauseum about a topic to come to the conclusion that maybe was inside you all along. It just wasn't clear to you at that moment. But I think it's clear to me now. I think Brothership overall, its biggest problem, besides like the obvious performance issues and such, is that it just takes too long to get off the brakes, to put it into gear. It takes too long to start the party. It really tries to warm your way up to its like most fun and interesting mechanics, and it needs to get there sooner. It has to get to the fun stuff sooner. And I think ultimately that is not the worst crime that you could have with a video game. You know, it takes too long to get to the good stuff. At least there's actually good stuff in here. At least there's a good experience to be had in this game, even if the journey to it isn't the best. I think that Brothership, I've been having a really good time playing this. I really have been, and every time I put in the game and go through more of it, I enjoy it more and more. So I guess my message about this is that there's a lot of discourse around Brothership. There's a lot of discourse, especially with the scores in particular. Like that video that I made about the scores between Shout Generations and Brothership is one of my most successful videos of the year. So that says it all. People are very wrapped in this discourse, and people are really wrapped in like arguing like which game is better, or like why this was scored this way, or why it did not deserve to be scored this way. And by the way, a 5 out of 10 is technically not a bad score. It just means the game is half good. So the game is still 50% pretty good, but I would argue that the game is more of an 80% good, because I am really enjoying my experience, and I'm glad that I've taken my time with it. I'm glad I didn't rush to judge this game immediately. I'm glad that I allowed the game to ferment a little bit within my brain. And now I'm at this point where I think I can confidently say I really enjoy Brothership, and I think it's a fine addition to the library of Mario RPGs. And I'm very much looking forward to playing all of the other Mario and Luigi games and kind of seeing how they compare in comparison to Brothership. I have heard that like a lot of people that don't love Brothership as much are the ones that have played the original Mario and Luigi games, and they're the ones that are like, Brothership doesn't compare anyway very well to the previous Mario and Luigi games. And to that I say, well, maybe it doesn't, but I still think it's a very solid experience on its own, and I'm enjoying it. I'm really having a good time with Brothership, and I would say try to cut out the noise, try to cut out the discourse, try to cut out the whispers around your head, especially from your close friends, aka Demeach, that are trying to poison your mind with negativity that you don't even believe in. So if you're interested in the game, try it out. You can at least guarantee that it's not a broken mess. You can guarantee that's functioning. You can guarantee that it provides like a basic experience that's worthy enough to be played. And I mean, judge it for yourself. I mean, yes, I think criticism is always going to be a part of our world, and it's something that we need to live with, and it's something that we need to be able to healthily digest without it like dictating what games we should or shouldn't play. It's okay for everyone to have their own opinions, but I think what I learned from this is that I need to not let people's opinions significantly influence what I think about a game, which is easier said than done, which is why when you see it happening to yourself, when you feel it happening, just take a step back, get off the internet. It's just you and the game, just play through it and see what happens. That's what I'm starting to do now. That's what I've shifted my experience to, and now I'm a fan. I think Brothership is a very solid game, and I recommend anyone that's even remotely interested interested in Mario RPGs to check it out. But okay, I just wanted to come on here and just give like a brief like overview of what my thoughts are on this game so far. I'm about like maybe 10 to 15 hours into the game at this point, and I have pretty good things to say overall. I could go into like way more detail about some of the nitty-gritty things, but I'm not like a huge Mario and Luigi like fan. So I just don't feel like people really want to hear that from me. They just want to hear, you know, my overall opinions on the game as a whole. And I enjoy it. And I think you should try it out too. And I think you should definitely have a healthy relationship with criticism, you know, acknowledge it, digest it, but don't let it impact how you personally feel about the game if you got to play yourself. But all right, y'all, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and let me know if there's any videos you want me to make about Brothership in particular, because yeah, I'm getting through the game and I am enjoying it, and I'm hopeful that there's more stuff to talk about as I get to the very end of it. All right, y'all, thank you so much. This is Riders, riding out.